Hello, Facebook world, Central Florida. This is Chris Baker with Keller Williams Realty. I am excited because we have Grant Simon here, and so every month we feature one of our preferred allied resources that we work with that we feel like are the best in the business, because we like to work with the best, and so we want our customers to have the best experience in the real estate transaction. And Grant is one of those people that is one of our leaders in that realm in the world of mortgages. And today we're going to kind of talk about a couple different things. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about, Grant is a VA loan expert. In addition, we're going to really talk about the opportunity of really maximizing and building wealth through real estate. And Grant can really talk through this. And so I wanted the world to be introduced to Grant, my sphere and my world, so you can get the best knowledge and stuff like that. And so, Grant, I'm excited to see you, man. Happy
Chris,
2020.
It's extraordinary to be here. And, as you know, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up. It's a great time here in Central Florida. But what so many people don't know about Central Florida is that we have been blowing up from a population standpoint. And we rank number 9 in the United States in population growth. And so what does that do? It just better schools, better business, better housing, better wealth building mechanisms. So the first thing I want to share with the listeners today, the 2 ways you make money in real estate, really critical to understand. Number 1, you make money in real estate through home price appreciation. And right now, Central Florida and Orlando is crushing it. Quite frankly, over the last 28 years, it's up over 8%. Over the last 5 years, it's up 10% year over year. Now we've slowed down a little bit, and we're up 6 to 7% year over year appreciation. But Chris, if you think about this, some of your clients who bought homes from you 2, 3, 4, and 5 years ago at 6 to 8 to 10% year over year appreciation, some of them could be up 50% in wealth and value. So one of the things I want you to understand, Chris also introduced and said, hey, I want you to meet the best. But best is the standard, and Chris emulates it. He does it, brings it every day. So I want to encourage you to reach out to Chris and just check in with them, because that's absolutely critical. But from a wealth building mechanism, the number 1 you make money in real estate is home price appreciation. Do you know the second way you make money in real estate? It's the pay down of principal. So there's a lot of lenders out there, there's a lot of realtors out there, but the realtors who understand you and who understand wealth building and structure, I think that there's a big difference. So what I think, and I know what Chris thinks, an educated consumer are best customers. So all we're wanting to do, educate the consumers, let them know what's happening in the marketplace. We're not transactional. Transactional would be, thank you very much, I appreciate the transaction. We're a life team, and we're just trying to help people flow through life as best as we possibly can. What do you think about all that, Chris? Did I just throw a lot out there?
I know, it's great, So, Grant, kind of maybe share some things that you're seeing in the marketplace as far as mortgage goes that you can really share with our viewers.
Well, I appreciate Chris recognizing that I am beyond veteran friendly. And yes, I'm called a VA specialist. I go around the country teaching a course called the MRP, the Military Relocation Professional Program.
Which I am one of those people.
Which Chris is a graduate in an MRP, but I also teach a lot of different VA courses. So obviously I'm a huge advocate of what the veterans have done for us in this country. We wouldn't be here without them. So anything Chris and I both can do to reach out to veterans is certainly what we want to do. But with that said, the VA has made some huge changes to the way they go about purchase prices and the way they'll allow veterans to finance houses, where they lifted the limits. So if you've never utilized your VA benefits before, you don't really have a loan limit restriction. So if you look at different financing type programs, USDA might have an income and geographic area issue. FHA has a loan limit. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, loan limits, but the VA has absolutely freed their loan limits up. So once again, it's that consultation with Chris. If you have veteran benefits, we want to help you utilize the benefits. If you, and quite frankly, even if you have a VA home loan, there's still a possibility that you may be able to purchase another home with your VA benefits. So just don't think it's a one-time benefit.
Right.
Understand that you can use it over and over again. Maybe you want to sell, maybe you want to convert it into a rental and buy another house. But the VA benefits, just great benefits for great people. That's how I'd address that.
Yeah, one of the things is, like I like to tell a lot of our consumers is that I'm really a lot of times surprised at how many people do not utilize their VA benefit. And I think sometimes there's a stigma towards VA, like you have to have all this stuff that's done and all this kind of things. And I would say, like, get rid of all that, like, negative talk about the VA.
The myths.
The myths of it, because it is the best instrument to purchase a home. Grant, can you share some of the really cool aspects of the VA loan?
Oh, 100%. Number one, few people realize that the VA appraisal process, everybody thinks, oh no, I'm going to send a VA appraiser out there and weird stuff's going to happen. The VA is actually the purest form of appraising. So don't be reluctant. But as Chris mentioned, there's some myths about VA with sellers and listing agents where they're, as I told you earlier, educated consumers, educated realtors and lenders, our best clients. But what we like to do is educate them that the VA appraisal process is the purest form of appraising, that it doesn't cost any more to accept a contract and sell to a VA client. Quite frankly, the likelihood is a VA transaction is more likely to go through than FHA and conventional. So many myths, but once again, that's, sitting down with Chris, having a heart-to-heart consultation, checking in where you are, where you want to go. The other thing I want to bring to Chris and to his Facebook fans and any of my Facebook fans is this. Those of you with small kids can not only invest in the Florida Prepaid College Fund, but they could also potentially invest in a small real estate property that could be on a 15-year loan. When the house pays off, they sell it and use that money to help fund their kids' college education. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of tips, techniques, and strategies. But remember with the VA, got to be owner occupied. If we're going to go conventional, we could do investor properties, but the best way to purchase or obtain investment property is to convert your primary into a rental and then purchase a new owner-occupied property. So if there is a veteran out there who currently owns a house, there's a potential for converting that into a rental and buying a new primary residence.
And is there a limit, Grant, on how many homes you can buy using the VA?
That's an interesting question, Chris. It's not really limited by number. It's limited by entitlement. And so what we'd have to do, and what Chris and I would do, is we could obtain a certificate of eligibility within moments and find out what your eligibility or entitlement is remaining or what it stands for. And we can convert those numbers and tell you what you're eligible for. So once again, that consultation's huge.
Yeah. And no limits on, there's some limits, but you have to understand. So one of the things I get too, and this is like one of the things that they're like, okay, so before I start my process, I got to talk to the VA.
Yeah, there's no it has become so streamlined and so efficient that statistically, everybody says, oh, I could get a conventional loan much quicker than I could get a VA loan. The reality is we could do a VA loan, and high qualified lenders, the people that are on Chris's approved lending list, the people he works with, we could do VA loans in 21 to 23 days if that's needed. I don't like to race through processes. I like to be calm, cool, and collected. But from a timing perspective, it's something we could take advantage of. But I've got to hit you with this, Chris. Not only is the real estate market in Central Florida just appreciating extraordinarily well, But right now, interest rates are just unconscious.
Yeah.
Unconscious. And who would ever think that this disease in China would lower our interest rates? But right now, there's an opportunity in the marketplace while the market's a little bit unsettled over disease and over world issues, and I don't want to mention the I words that's going on in Washington. And Chris and I don't want to get political. But what we do want to do is share with you that right now, interest rates are approaching, all-time lows again. And so seizing the moment is just, and with a VA rate, just extraordinary, below 3.5%. I mean, on a 30-year fixed rate.
Did you hear that? Below 3.5%.
It's just extraordinary. So
if Grant, if we were to share with you on the VA side of the house, like if you shared, and I think this is one of the other benefits of the VA loan. What's the minimum credit score that someone has to have for a VA loan?
VA per se doesn't have a minimum credit score.
Did you hear that?
Lenders impose an overlay, but you could still. Most lenders are at about a 580 credit score, which is actually quite low. We're hoping, obviously, we're in the 600, 620s. It's another area in which Chris and I gladly help individuals if we need to raise credit scores, but credit won't be the issue. What we want to make sure, though, is that you're very comfortable in what you're buying and in your house payment. And once again, what's the life plan? How are we going to formulate a strategy to help you just truly enjoy life and make the best of it? But from a real estate perspective, right here, he's your guy.
And so if we were looking at, really no like minimum credit score, now with the VA you can kind of go up on
loan limits, yeah.
The other piece is private mortgage insurance.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. He mentions a 3-letter word called PMI, or private mortgage insurance, and there's a lot of negativity to that. Obviously, the beauty to VA financing is there is no private mortgage insurance.
No private mortgage insurance!
That said, some veterans may pay a funding fee, which has very little impact, but even if you were to purchase a house with PMI, it's not the enemy that a lot of people think. Now, granted, if you don't have to pay it, we're all in.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you have to look at what it's doing to the house payment, how it's impacting me. Sometimes I might suggest a person only put 10% down on a conventional loan rather than 20%, because as the house appreciates and it goes away, not a bad thing. But with the VA, no mortgage insurance.
Yeah, that's great. And what are some other things that you're kind of really seeing in the marketplace? Any challenges that maybe consumers are facing right now?
Or how about advice?
Okay.
How about advice? Let's just say some of your Facebook listeners right now have a family where their child is at the ages, and this won't sound familiar to you, maybe somewhere between 14, 15, 16 years of age.
Yeah.
Do you think you could have any clients with kids?
Yeah.
One thing I want to make sure is that when you have a child and they're about to approach 18 years of age, let's start establishing their credit early. Let's get them a credit score, because we're all about college and college education, but if they have a credit score, we could help them buy a house where they're at college, live in it for 2, 3, 4 years, get the investment, have them have a few roommates, offset the college expense through real estate. So what I experienced this week, one of the issues, I'll go through a couple. One of the issues was 22-year-old girl had never established credit with her parents or with her bank, and so she was unable to buy a house. They're going to have to wait 6-8 months. So number one rule, I would say, establish credit for your children at about the age of 18. Take them to the bank, let them get established. You know the number one reason why they don't?
They're afraid, right? And so one of the things I think is really important, and when we talk about this, is that there's a philosophy which I fully support. You don't want to have a whole bunch of credit card debt and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really the key piece, is the responsibility behind the credit.
The education.
And the education behind the credit and how to use the credit and how you keep those numbers down. You still want to do like what we call cash, but you use the credit to kind of build that credit.
And Chris does that. Chris has a program where he's training 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And in that program, I mean, Chris gives back to the community, which is absolutely huge. And me, I'm giving back, trying to educate people and raise their levels. But what we're trying to do is obviously bring everybody's level up. So number one, teaching your children about proper use of credit. I think that's critically important. Being a great parent, which, talking about great parents, he's right then and there.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
The second thing that I think I'd like to share with you is maybe you've considered in today's market that, as I said, over the last 5 years, real estate values are up. Maybe you're thinking, hey, now might be a good time to sell my house and buy another. Here's what most people don't realize. If you get your current house under contract and can get that buyer approved free of contingencies, you can still buy and close on that new house with actually out liquidating your first home. Maybe it's a delayed closing process. So maybe we're using the VA financing for that next purchase. Maybe you're doing that. But that's where Chris comes in that consultation piece, making sure you have the proper structure. So a lot of people don't know you may not have to close. Maybe I come in I'm with Ameris Bank. Maybe I come in with a bridge loan and help them bridge that gap. Maybe you do some type of home equity loans. But it's the structure, it's the consultation, and once again, it's just getting together, having a little bit of a break bread meeting, a little cup of coffee, and just trying to raise our game up, because that's what Chris and my goal is to raise people's game up.
Yeah, perfect. And during this time, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them out. Like, we'll answer the questions while we have Grant here and all that kind of stuff, And Grant, I'm kind of glad you mentioned that piece about getting the young people's credit so you can go into, because I think a lot of consumers or a lot of people are planning on having their kids go to college, right? And they're going to have 4 years. If they're super smart, you can get it done in 2. But like some of those great incentives that we have in Florida. But if they're going to be in school for like 3 years, 4 years, where there's an opportunity, if you plan right, to buy a property at the location where your kids are going to go to college, gives them the responsibility to actually be a landlord during that time, and they can earn some money and maybe potentially go rent free.
It's huge. Now, as Chris
he's a
Buckeye. I'm a Gator.
He's a Gator.
So
I'm a Buckeye.
But with that said, there's a lot of respect that we both have for UCF. So maybe your kids are going to go to UCF. Maybe they're going to go to USF. Maybe Tallahassee. God forbid, but it could happen. I didn't say that on Facebook. But with that said, there's just such opportunity in the marketplace to potentially, let them live in the dorm or let them live on campus for a year. After that year, maybe you buy an investment property, which is really owner occupied, as little as 3.5% down.
Do you hear that?
3.5% down.
Yeah.
As long as your son or daughter is occupying the property, they can rent out some rooms. They could improve their living standard. But what you're going to really be reaping the benefit of is that home price appreciation. And then once again, the 2 ways you make money in real estate: home price appreciation and the pay down of principal. I love that concept.
Yeah, and we're just literally, I'm selling a property that we just listed over in East Orlando. We're going to have it coming on the market tomorrow. And one of the things that the seller did was they purchased the property when their kids were in college. What's nice about it, they were able to weather the storm because they bought it when the market was at the peak of the market. And at the same token,
probably 2005-06 area.
Yeah. So they just had to hold on to it, but they didn't lose any money holding on to it because they were able to rent the property for the whole time since their kids were in college to now, and they're still going to make a pretty substantial appreciation on that asset.
Return on investment, and that's that pay down of principal. So even if your son or daughter has a house and other their friends or have roommates, and you're paying down that principal, that's huge. Hey, since I'm on this pay down of principal, some of you out there, there's some refinance opportunities. If you,
do you guys do the refinance?
We'll help people restructure. But what I wouldn't want to see is somebody refinance who's been in their house 2, 3, 4 years to another 30-year loan. It's making it a 34-year loan. Transactional versus consultations. So what I don't like to do, refinance someone after 2, 3, 4 years to another 30-year loan. I essentially help them get a 34-year loan. No, we want to get a 25, a 20, or a 15-year loan.
Do they have those?
Oh my gosh, we can really create structure and create wealth through consultation. So I want to make sure that it's right.
I didn't even know they had those actually, Grant. So I mean,
oh my gosh! So
like you even telling me about they having a 20, 25. I didn't even know that was a possibility.
It's once again, it's all about education and consultation, because there's a lot of lenders, a lot of banks out there, but they just don't really care about the consumer or their client. They're not taking them in to take the time. But I will tell you this: I have a client bought a house 2 years ago, and she came to me, and we could refinance her on a 30-year fix. We're actually putting her in a 15-year fixed rate at a lower payment than she's currently paying, and we're knocking 12 years off the life of the payment.
Wow.
So ask me a question. Is that client enamored with me right now? Let's just say I've won a few points. So what we're really talking about is maybe you keep the payment the same and lower the term so it pays off much earlier. Just a concept. So with these low rates, if you've bought 2 or 3 years from now, hook up with Chris, have a little consultation. He could bring me in, we can talk, have coffee, but just see if there's some structure to we could help, because he is a wealth manager who specializes in the area of real estate. And the product that he sells is just a superlative product. Sure, you can compare it to the Dow or the S&P 500 or other investment options, but diversification is the key.
Sure. And that's one of our big pulls for 2020 is that we want to help our customers also build that wealth through real estate. And I think there's a great opportunity right now, what we're seeing in the marketplace, especially with the interest rates at a low. I hate to say it's kind of free money, but it's pretty close to it.
It's really quite exciting. But what's driving these interest rates is certainly the marketplace. We've got a pretty strong economy here in Central Florida. We've got great weather. Anybody listening up north, we got great weather here. Obviously, people want to come on down here to our weather, but what we have in this population growth, in our job explosion, I mean, Chris can tell you what's going on here in Lake Nona. I could tell you that not only Lake Nona, but in downtown Orlando, in the parks, College Park, Winter Park, Thornton Park, it's just
Central Florida's doing good.
We're blessed.
Yeah,
we're really blessed to be here, but it's not just enough that we're here. What we want to really do is help people along the way, and so that's what I think makes Chris and what drives me is really just sitting down, helping people be the best they can be. That's why our job's kind of fun, Chris. We get to help people.
I know, it's great.
It's a novel concept. You get to help people make money. Did you follow that?
Did you hear that? I like helping people make money. They used to call me in college. They called me Chris Baker, the money maker. So like I can kind of continue on that thing. So you're going to hear more about Chris Baker, the money maker.
I like that slogan, but But what he's really doing is he's not making him money, he's helping everyone around him grow. So you've heard a lot of things today. You've heard about, helping families here in Central Florida, certainly helping younger people. We've talked about college. We've talked about helping veterans. We've talked about helping really first-time homebuyers enter the marketplace. We talked about helping people raise their credit. Everything we're doing is really driven about, being of assistance, sharing our knowledge. And that's what I love about Chris, is he's willing to donate his time, his energy, into just raising the bar. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So, any parting last words, Grant? Anything that maybe we missed on that maybe we didn't cover?
It is so much fun to do what we do, and catching up with Chris and seeing what he's up to and how he's doing it, and following along in this Facebook Live and just helping people. All I could urge you to do, regardless of whether you're in the market to buy now, maybe it's a thought process that you have, what, maybe in 2-3 years that's something I'd like to explore. It's still a great time now to have a consultation, just to touch base, because we're not transactional people. What we are is we're friends. We want to help people grow, and it's just checking in and getting that update. I mean, can you speak to that, Chris, about how it been? This is January, so obviously it's hard to believe we're almost done with January already. Hard to believe, but it's a great time of year in this first quarter of the year to schedule an appointment and have that annual checkup with them and just see where they are.
And that's one of the things that we offer, is that if you just want to find out kind of what your real estate portfolio is doing for you, just reach out to me. We can go through numbers and kind of get an assessment of like what it looks like and give you some options, And it's really the big piece of it is just having enough information to make an informed decision about whatever you're going to do. And that's the consultation approach versus we're not here to sell you. I've talked people out to saying, do not sell this home. It's a great investment asset. Use different ways to use it. If the term is right to sell it, I'm going to give you that advice. And if it's not a good time to sell, it's not a utilization of your information or your mortgage or whatever, I'm going to help you through that process. And I work with great people like that also have that same strategy. Is that
same mentality?
We want to reach your goals. I know you have goals. You have financial goals that you want to do, and real estate is a great vehicle for that. And we can kind of educate you on how you can use that vehicle as much as possible. Okay.
Chris Baker, the money maker.
Yes.
Analyzing portfolios. I love this. To me, Chris, it's a huge honor just to come in and hang out with you, and I hope y'all have benefited from some of the things we've spoken about today. Obviously, you could reach me at grantsimon.com, www.grantsimon.com. Chris, how do they find you?
You just stay on my Facebook page, and you can always give us a call, 407-864-2454. That's my cell phone number. And obviously, you can visit us at ChristopherBakerTeam.com. Okay? So if we don't have any questions, anybody have any questions that before we kind of get out there? If there's, give me a 1, we're giving you a 2, we're giving you a 3. Look out. We got a couple of properties coming on the market here shortly. Like I said, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, purchasing an investment home, people are going to college soon. There's a great opportunity. Come and talk to us. I can set you up with Grant. He can go through the strategy. And the other piece is that your kid doesn't have to go to a location in Central Florida. I have relationships throughout the country, all over, where there are people that have like-minded investment capability that I work with day in and day out that also give you that advice that you need for the location that you're looking for, okay? And so we're going to be out, and we have our QL event coming up on March 28th. We also have a home buyer seminar coming up in the month of February. For that, is that February? I believe we're right. I got to look at my calendar again. I believe February, and but you'll see all the details on that. So we look forward to serving you, and have an awesome Tuesday. See you next month.